So what I want to show is how a planet brings the energy of the sign it rules and the house it rules to the other signs and houses. So we're looking at Mercury, and the house that the sign that Mercury rules is Gemini. It also rules Virgo. So it brings the themes of Gemini and Virgo to wherever it moves in your chart. If you so the themes that Mercury deals with is communication, lower education, short trips, your thinking, your mind, how you learn, your routines and health. Because of Virgo, but Gemini is more the communications, and but because in transit the planet brings both signs to where it is. So I mean, some type of effect from either of those signs can happen wherever it transits. So let's go to the next chart. These are the two signs that it rules. Gemini is an air sign, and it's intellectual and adaptable, and it's rules immutable. It's mutable. It rules the third house of the conscious mind, communications, siblings, and elementary education. And then Virgo is the other sign that it rules, and that is an earth sign. It's practical, adaptable, mutable, rules the sixth house of work, health, daily routines, pets, habits, nursing, so forth, caretaking. So thinking of those themes, it brings to the first house, which is ruled by Aries, and that house is a fire house, and it's motivated. Fire signs are motivated, and Aries is a dynamic cardinal sign, and it rules the house of self-image. So when it brings Mercury there, it brings communications probably around your self-image in some way, and brings the traits of an Aries to, of the Gemini to the Aries house. So Geminis are adaptable and articulate and clever and communicative and curious and dexterous and flexible and intellectual, lively, restless, sociable, talkative, versatile, and witty. And then it also brings to that house the Virgo traits, which analytical, dedicated, discriminating, efficient, health conscious, helpful, introverted, logical, practical, precise, punctual, pure, responsible, sensible, can be fussy or overcritical and worrying. And so those combined together with Aries traits, which that's active, ambitious, assertive, competitive, courageous, creative, enthusiastic, extroverted, free, individualistic, naive, self-assured, headstrong, impatient, prideful, and can be quick-tempered. It's all the energy that is in that first house of self-image combined with all the energy of those other signs. In any of the traits of Gemini or Virgo can affect the self-image, and that's in transit. It's basically your communications will start, and your duties and so forth will start being combined with your self-image. may have a focus more on communicating, how you see yourself communicating, or how you deal with your daily routines and exercise and so forth, because Mars rules exercise and I mean energy and get up and go and your initiative. And so you might start a communicative project, um, or some kind of caretaking project. And then when Mercury rules, moves to the second house of Taurus, which is an earth sign, practical, persevering, it's a fixed sign, rules the second house of values, money, and possessions. And then it also rules, um, Venus is the ruler of Taurus, and it also rules the house of Libra. And so whenever Mercury lands in Taurus, it brings both signs, both Taurus and Libra with it. And Libra is an air sign, intellectual, dynamic cardinal, seventh house, rules the seventh house of partners and marriage. So if, let's see, if we see what combines the energy, you might have more communications from Mercury about your values and so forth, because that's what, or about marriage, or about love, or about money that you earn through your own hands, or your possessions and luxuries and partnerships and your good luck, or Venus ruling Taurus is the voice. So, like if you have Venus in your second house, you might have a really good singing voice, and Mercury ruling communications, it might maybe make you sing more, or might even give you talent to use your voice somehow in communications. So it also could, you just might start really talking about your money and your values and your luxuries and your luck and your partnerships and food and love. And that might be the theme that Mercury brings to that area, uh, combining Taurus and Libra traits with Gemini and Virgo traits. So that's what happens when a sign moves from house to house. It brings with it the sign that it rules. So this is 4 signs, but that's how it works. And this is the actual, I'm just showing the actual placement of Gemini and Virgo again, because that's the next house. This is the more emphasis, if it hits Gemini, more emphasis would be on the communications and maybe short trips and so forth. So you're getting a double effect of all the traits of Gemini, and maybe less of the Virgo, but more communications and using your mind, maybe learning something, possibility of talking with your siblings a lot, because that house rules siblings. You might want to research something. That's something that Virgo does, researching. Um, so anyway, uh, daily routines, health, and pets and so forth are Virgo thing. But uh, all this energy is brought to this house. So your daily duties and routines and learning and studies and so forth, you might get really focused on those kind of themes. And then when it comes to the fourth, when Mercury moves to the fourth house, then it combines with the energy of Cancer. And so that combines Gemini, Virgo, and Cancer together and all their traits. And so Cancer is a water sign. It's intuitive, it can be psychic, it's dynamic cardinal. The fourth, it rules the fourth house of home and mother, and it's a calm sign, conscientious and domestic and imaginative, and can be moody or quiet, pretty protective, sensitive, um, can be touchy, but um, the house is the house of home, and it's nurturing, how you nurture yourself. Uh, your it rules the main nurturer, the, the way that you nurture or are nurtured. And so when Mercury transits this house or is placed there, there can be a lot of communications around home matters and subjects of home, or um, a lot of emotions, which the moon rules. Could be a lot of communications about your emotions and feelings at home, or about your mother, or about your main nurturer, um, about your moods. It could be a lot of communications from the home about your studies, or uh, things that are on your mind, short distance travel, or with your siblings. So those all combine. And then in the house of Leo, Leo is a fire sign. It's ruled by motivation, and it's persevering, and it's a fixed sign. And it rules the fifth house of entertainment and romance. So those are the themes that are going to be, Mercury are going to be affecting. You might have a lot of communications around entertainment and romance. And let me see, Leos are uh, Leos are ambitious and authoritative and competitive and confident and creative and dramatic and dignified and extroverted and honorable. They're usually leaders. They love the limelight and proud. They're proud, can be conceited or domineering or excessive. But the thing is that where when a planet comes and sits in that house, those themes might be around that, but it doesn't mean that you are all of those traits. It means that the sign, the planet that is coming in that house is affecting those things. So like Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo, so it might bring the way that you entertain, or the way that you create, or your ego might be more affected by your sense of communication and your sense of duties around your work or health, because that's a Virgo thing, and the other communication is a Gemini thing. So what it does is combine the signs, traits that the planet rules with the house that it comes to, and the um, planet that rules that house. So your ego might be affected, or you might be talking a lot about yourself or your entertainment or your romance, because that's the house of romance, the fifth house. And might be the way that you communicate might really show up as you really want to be noticed, because that's what Leo likes to do. So, and the way you communicate, you might really feel like being noticed when it comes to that house, when it transits that house. Um, yeah, I think that's enough on that. And then uh, this again is going through the same sign that it rules. Mercury rules Virgo, and I didn't do that on the last two slides on Mars or Venus, and I probably should have, but um, since they rule two houses, since Mercury and Venus rule two houses, it's kind of redundant, but um, so maybe the themes would be, when it comes to Virgo's house, maybe the themes would be more concentrated on your work and your daily habits and your pets and so forth, which is the Virgo traits. And then, but still, wherever Mercury is, it brings both Gemini and Virgo to it. So even though Mercury may sit in your Virgo house as in your natal chart, it would rule that house and make a real big focus on that house. But if when it transits, when it comes around in a transit, then it just affects that house, and so it combines the energy of that sixth house of work and daily routines and habits and caretaking and your pets and so forth. It will also bring the traits of Gemini, which is communications and siblings and elementary education studies and so forth. So it would be combining maybe a lot of focus on work and health and communicating about those. And so that's pretty much, combines a real focus on studies and your mind and talking and, your intellect and routines and so forth. So um, might be real analytical and might be into research, um, or have a lot of short trips and be really busy and focused. And then and the other sign, the other planet that rules two houses, Taurus and Libra, then we're talking about Mercury coming here into the sign of Libra, then it would combine the Taurus Libra traits with the Mercury, which is the Gemini, Gemini and Virgo traits. So you got four signs working together here. And so, I mean, whatever the planet brings, it brings its rulers with it. So, Taurus is an earth, practical, persevering, fixed house, values and money and possessions house. And then Libra, the air sign, it's intellectual and house of partners and marriages. So there might be a lot more talk about your marriage and partners and uh, uh, partnerships and your values and bringing money in through partners, more concentrated on partners and partnerships and marriage than maybe when it's in Taurus. But still, the theme is money that you bring in through your own hands is ruled by Venus, and your values and luxuries and um, uh, also females. So wherever females, you might have a lot of communications with females when Mercury comes there, or you might learn a lot about subjects of your values, or some type of possessions. You might do some research on themes that are around money, or around obtaining luxuries, or obtaining money, some type of gains through your own hands and your own abilities, and that's because Taurus rules routines and so forth. I mean, it rules the money and possessions, and then Virgo rules your routines and caretaking, and it's along with the communications that Gemini brings. So all of this will be combined energy around partnerships and communicating about partnerships. Partnerships and marriage, that house, the seventh house of Libra, it doesn't just mean a marriage partner or a love partner. Can it can mean any type of partnership. So that house rules any type of partnership. So you could just have a lot of communications with partners in general, or even about your daily routines or your duties, your daily habits and so forth, because of the effect that Mercury brings there. There might be a lot more communications about it, about those themes. I think I'm repeating myself sometimes, but just kind of emphasizing, I guess. This one is the house of Scorpio, and Scorpio is a water sign. It's intuitive, can be psychic, persevering, fixed, rules are fixed. It's a fixed sign, and it rules the 8th house of death, sex, and rebirth, and that means transformation and so forth. The themes around it are let me see, I wrote it down somewhere. Secrets and obsessions and psychological. It's the psychological house, so it rules your psychology, the way that you look at things psychologically, and it rules inheritances and government stipends and gifts of money, not through your own efforts, and money from outside sources. It rules power, inner power, and death and sex and the occult and transformations. It's competitive and strong-willed and possessive and magnetic, can be determined and forceful and fixated and secretive and possessive and probing and compulsive, and it's your subconscious motivation. So those are the themes that Scorpio has, and so the planet ruling it, Pluto, will bring those themes to wherever it is. And not only that, but it has a co-ruler. That the traditional ruler was the Mars, which rules your self-image, and it also originally ruled money that comes to you out from other sources. It ruled all the things that Pluto now rules, that Scorpio now rules. So anyway, because of Mars's effect, it also affects your self-image, because it rules the house of self-image. But so you may identify yourself with a lot of these themes. And when Mercury decides to transit there, it combines all the things from Gemini and Virgo into that house. And so you've got maybe routines and so forth regarding your obsessions, or how you hide your secrets, or your maybe your sexual habits. You might be really communicative in the bedroom, and you might talk a lot about the occult. Pluto, I mean, Scorpio rules the study of astrology. Aquarius rules the practice of astrology, uh, but that's beside the point. Um, but you might have themes. The themes of the house combined make you might have a lot of communications regarding. It might just be really communicating about psychological thoughts, or your psychology on things. You might really, when Mercury is in your natal chart in that house, it would be a general theme that's how you talk a lot about sex, or you talk a lot about um, money from other sources, or you focus a lot on your obsessions, or the occult, or themes of death. Maybe you study uh, afterlife, uh, afterlife stories or something. I mean, that's what you're doing, is bringing your mind, your conscious mind, from Mercury to your subconscious mind of uh, uh, Scorpio. So a lot of communications, a lot of thinking. Your thinking might take on a darker type of when in transit. It might take on a lot darker themes, or secretive themes, or maybe sexual themes, or um, anyway, that's the way it works. It brings all the traits of Gemini and Virgo to that house, and combined with Scorpio's traits, and also the house of the self-image. So um, it's activating those themes. And then this is the house of Sagittarius. It's the ninth house of foreign and long distance travel and connections, and the higher mind, religion. Sagittarius is a fire sign. So it's motivated, and it's adaptable and mutable. And Sagittarius is known as the traveler. They can be really casual and direct, enthusiastic, far-seeing, friendly, gregarious, honest, humorous, idealistic, loyal, outspoken, philosophical, restless, and talkative. They also um, uh, can be really optimistic, and it's an expansive energy. That house is expansive. Philosophical, rules theology and abundance and good fortune and idealism, and the people are usually jovial or upbeat, but they can be outspoken and tactless. So, and they might exaggerate. So, all signs have the good and the bad. And so they bring those themes. And let's see what Mercury bringing those themes and combining um, Gemini and Virgo traits when it comes to that house. It could be suddenly routines and daily tasks are all focused on doing some long distance communicating or foreign communications, or your communications would generally be take on the theme of some far away, uh, something far away, or long distance traveling, or it could be philosophical and religious thinking, or because of Jupiter rules formal religion, where Sagittarius rules formal religion, where um, another house, Pisces house, rules spirituality, but this is formal religion and theology. So, and higher education also. So um, you're when you're bringing these two together, Mercury is the lower mind, or your conscious, your uh, short distance communications and so forth, and Jupiter is long distance and foreign communications, and higher mind. So lower mind and higher mind are meeting together in this house, and so you might be having a lot of themes that go with that house, which is the long distance and expansion and abundance and good fortune, and uh, so that's the themes that you might connect with. Mentors, that house rules mentors also. And then the 10th house of Capricorn, and that's an earth sign. It's practical, dynamic, a cardinal sign, and the 10th house of career is what it rules, and the 10th house, it also rules father and government structure, all kinds of structures. And let me see what I've got written for that. Yeah, it's the house of career. It rules restrictions and responsibilities and methods. It can be really methodical, could slow down wherever it is, whatever planets and so forth are placed in that house. A lot of focus, a lot of more um, structured. It could be political structure, it could be governmental structure. It would be a persevering energy, and serious and realistic, and can be pessimistic, and it rules your limitations and rules and fears and obstructions, and it can be conservative and disciplined, and uh, Capricorns usually are seeking status and money and power, and they have a lot of ambitions toward status and money and power. You'll see people that are Capricorn like to be with around people that are in power, or be in power themselves, depending on the other aspects in their chart. But they can also be kind of lonely and miserly, and conventional and diligent. And anyway, bringing Mercury into that house, it brings all those themes connected with your communications and your daily tasks. So might be a lot of work there going on when Mercury comes, or a lot of communicating about structures and responsibilities. Could be communications with your father, because of that house ruling father. And so yeah, all the traits of Gemini and Virgo combined with all the traits of Capricorn. And so you're looking at a lot of um, really structured communications and structured ways that you tedious things, habits and so forth. Maybe the way that you learn might have to slow down and really get focused on really get a lot of structure to it. You might spend a lot of time structuring and putting some organization to whatever you are, something that you're communicating about. Even like if you're working on a project for your career, that because this is that's the house of career. If you're working on a project that deals with communications, or it deals with like writing or talking or um, something, you might spend a lot of time when Mercury comes there to focus on getting it all the details correct, and all the you might come across a lot of restrictions and limitations that you have to overcome, and so it's basically a duties. It's a lot of duty, and so and it could involve your father and or older men. uh that's the theme. So that's the theme that these two combined bring. And then when Mercury comes into the house of Aquarius, Aquarius is an air sign, intellectual, persevering, fixed, rules the 11th house of society at large and friendships. And it's an ingenious sign. It's where your ingenuity is. So like when the ruler of Aquarius lands somewhere, usually that's where your point of genius is, and that's Uranus. But uh, it's it rules, that house rules individuality and revolutionary, rebellious thoughts and altruism. It can be odd and unusual and a lot of unexpected energy. It can be inventive. Rules big tech, electricity, explosions, sudden things, lightning. You can have ingenious, inspirational thinking or visionary thinking, inventive thinking, and thinking out of the box, unconventional thinking, and an urge for freedom and freedom from convention, and might be humanitarian, uh, humanitarian feeling towards society, and be unique. It's unique, unpredictable, eccentric, erratic, impersonal, aloof. All those terms apply to Aquarius energy. And so when Mercury comes there, you might really have some unusual communications, might have communications that are really unusual and rebellious, and you might uh, in your daily routines you might decide that you might want to incorporate rebellion and revolution into your daily routine, or big tech into your daily routine, or we're combining the energies, remember. So we've got communications on a short distance communications and short trips and so forth that Gemini brings to the house, and your siblings and so forth. You might do it with your siblings, and then that combines with the Uranus energy and the Aquarius energy, which is society at large and also your friendships. So these two together would bring those two themes: sudden, unexpected, unusual communications, sudden, unexpected, unusual routines, sudden, unexpected, unusual short distance communications, or long distance over tech or about tech, technology. And Uranus is a very explosive, unexpected. It really brings some unexpected things where it is placed, but it also, that house is the house of gains, so it's not all bad energy. It's can be a revolutionary, so it can change things for the better. You can gain by some kind of rebellion that you do, or you can gain by your communications. Some unexpected thing can bring you gains. Your routines combined with whatever Aquarius rules. And then the traditional ruler of that house is Saturn. So that again is career and government and political and the collective society is what that house is about. And so your responsibilities and so forth were originally, that was originally ruled by Saturn, which Saturn rules the house of career. So you might even make a career of being unusually revolutionary in your thinking, or ingenious in your thinking, or make an effect on the collective of society that is really unusual and ahead of its time. So anyway, the next house is the 12th house, and that's Pisces house, and that one is a house of imagination. And usually Pisces are, well, let me read that other thing. The Pisces is a water sign. It's intuitive and adaptable and mutable, and it rules the house of the unconscious and spirituality. And Pisces are artistic and can be charitable and creative and dedicated and dreamers and humble and imaginative and impressionable, idealistic, introverted, mystical, peaceful, serious, spiritual, timid, careless, escapist, and indecisive. The 12th house is this nebulous energy that's connected to the divine. It comes up under the surface, and so it's your imagination, and it also, that house rules addictions and isolation and escapism and hospitalizations and incarceration, and yet it also rules creative inspirations and illusions, dreams and dreaming. It's a humble energy, um, full of idealism, and the people can be introverted that are Pisces, and the artistic usually, and in some way, depending on the other aspects of the chart, they can be charitable, um, psychic. They can things things come up as impressions from their subconscious. Any time that Mercury goes there, just a moment. Anytime that Mercury goes there, then the theme is that your communications come up, bubbling up from your subconscious, or from the divine, from your spirituality, or from your imagination, or it can be confusing and bring illusions. It can be like a loss of connection to reality, but your routines and so forth That's the Virgo thing. Routines and so forth can suddenly be spiritual or suddenly be um, uh, more connected to your imagination. You might really become putting your daily tasks and routines might all suddenly be connected to your imagination or your spirituality or your divine connections. Hopefully, they won't be more connected to addictions and loss and hospitalizations and so isolation. And well, even that isolation can be good if you're uh, wanting to communicate with the divine, and so it could bring your communications with the divine might ramp up with Mercury there. You're thinking about the divine or thinking about spirituality or thinking of imaginative thoughts and creative thoughts um, could be more prominent while Mercury goes there, while it transits. Um, yeah, your focus could be, or your talk could be, or your communications to other people, or through um, technology can, because Mercury rules technology too. I mean, any type of communications, but uh, where Aquarius rules the bigger tech, Mercury rules your daily, people's computers and so forth. So you can have a lot of communications in some way about the things that Neptune deals with, maybe even even having communications about uh, people overcoming addiction or something. It could be focus on overcoming those losses or overcoming a hospitalization or overcoming addiction. It could be just that. And then the traditional ruler of that 12th house was Jupiter. And so it's a good energy. It brings connection to long distances and foreign communications and travel and so forth. So all these energies combined from Sagittarius, which is Jupiter's ruler, and which Jupiter rules, and then Neptune rules Pisces, and then Mercury rules Virgo and Gemini. So you got those four signs working together in this house, and so you think of all the themes that those four signs bring to this house, and that's what will be the focus while Mercury is there. And then I think that's my last one. So thanks for listening.